The FBI performed its second thorough assessment of national gang threats. The report of the assessment was released afterward, showing an alarming rise in gang-related activities and all-time high gang membership. Gang activity keeps varying. Criminal groupings are practicalizing and have started to drift away from jeopardizing activities such as weapons smuggling and drug trafficking. But that's not good at all, because they are adopting activities with low detection rates and prominences, such as white-collar crimes and human trafficking, which makes it difficult to prosecute gang criminals. Gangs are also constantly invading military organizations and law enforcement to obtain intel on anti-crime operations and adverse gangs. What's even more frightening is more and more gang organizations are getting their hands on dynamic military-grade equipment and weapons to use in their wicked acts. With thousands of gang organizations having millions of members collectively, you might wonder which organization is the deadliest. Number 10. California's 18th Street Gang. The largest street gang in California, with 15,000 members and still growing, is the 18th Street Gang. Due to rapid growth in the past few years, the gang now exists in 32 states and is responsible for at least one assault or robbery per day in LA. The 18th Street Gang has been involved in human trafficking, drug smuggling, extortion, auto theft, and even murder. From having strong ties with the Mexican mafia to infiltrating the military, this gang proves to be one of the deadliest. Number 9. The Florencia 13. The resentful rival of the 18th Street Gang, another Serrano gang based in South LA, is the Florencia 13. Having ties with both Mexican mafia and the U.S. military, the Florencia 13 is acclaimed to commit violent crimes such as murder and are infamous drug smugglers. In only 2010, 94 members of Florencia 13's gang members pled guilty to their charges, out of which 6 members were sentenced to life imprisonment for their hideous crimes. Number 8. The Latin Kings. The Latin Kings is the biggest Hispanic gang in the U.S., initially started in Chicago in the 1940s, but now is spread to 34 states. The total number of members is unknown, but estimated to be around 18,000 to 35,000 members only in Chicago. The strong religious beliefs and rigid organizational formation encourage loyalty, which means a lot to the Kings. Anyone who goes against the rules suffers brutal consequences, i.e., a 5-minute beating by 5 members or execution on site, which promotes the killing of the offender between gang members. Number 7. The Los Aztecas. Originated in El Paso, Texas, the Los Aztecas is a gang that recruits its members from the scandalous prison system of Texas. Many criminal activities, such as heroin production, take place within the boundaries of the prison. The draconian military-like formation of the gang promotes discipline, and the members are known for their participation in illegal alien smuggling, drug running, and murder. One of the most violent crimes committed by the Los Aztecas included the ferocious murder of a U.S. consulate official, as well as their family. Totally, the gang has murdered 3 American consulate officials, which included one of the workers' pregnant wives. Number 6. The Crips and the Bloods. Best known in the country, these are the 2 deadliest rival gangs. You can't talk about one without mentioning the other. Formed in the 1970s in LA, the Bloods are the street gang that quickly expanded in the country. Identified by their uncommon red attire and hand signals, there are an estimated 20,000 to 25,000 active members. Originated in the 1960s in California, the Crips spread rapidly throughout the U.S., resulting in a powerful presence in New York City. There are approximately 50,000 members of the Crips in the U.S. Both gangs have been involved in violent crimes such as racketeering, drug trafficking, and murder, and the rivalry between the gangs is enough to cause vicious retaliation and constant conflict. Number 5. Somali Groups. Many Somali immigrants choose Crip or Blood gang membership upon arriving in the U.S., but in recent years, independent Somali gangs are rapidly expanding, causing tension between and with other gang groupings. Their small outfits are totally opposite to their major crimes, such as prostitution, credit card fraud, human trafficking, and alien smuggling. Surprisingly, the largest clusters of Somali groups are found in the states of Washington, Minnesota, and Missouri, proving that even small cities and states are affected by gang violence. Number 4. The Aryan Brotherhood. Hispanic and African American gangs denied membership to white people, and that's when gangs like the Simon City Royals formed. One of those copycat groups is the Aryan Brotherhood, which is totally different from these gangs. The Aryans were made on rigid and extremely racist, white supremacist views. For protection from white inmates in newly integrated prisons, Irish bikers created groups in California's San Quentin State Prison, such as The Brand, AB, 1-2, or Alice Baker, more than 50 years ago. Even though the Aryans make up a small percentage of the population of the country's prisons, but they keep their booming prison network and are responsible for almost 25% of prison murders. The Aryan Brotherhood is involved in menace crimes like prostitution and drug smuggling, but that's not what makes them one of the most dangerous. Their fondness for racially motivated brutal crimes make them one of the deadliest in the U.S. Number 3. The Simon City Royals. The stereotype is that gang members are usually people of color, but this is not true. Founded in Chicago in the 1950s, the Simon City Royals gang is the U.S.'s largest and oldest white gang. White people make up 40% of gang members in the U.S. Between 2010 and 2017, all of the 97 gang members prosecuted for gang crimes were African American, even though 53% of gang members are white in Mississippi. A criminal law professor at the City University of New York, Babe Howell, stated that the police overestimate the amount of Hispanic and black members in a gang and underestimate the percentage of white members. Number 2. The Outlaws. One of the most dangerous one-percenter outlaw motorcycle gangs in the U.S. is the Outlaws, deserving second place on the list. The biggest and toughest rival of the Deadliest gang, with hundreds of chapters and more than 1,700 members, they are considered to be the world's biggest outlaw motorcycle gang. Formed in 1935 in a suburb of Chicago out of Matilda's Bar on Old Route 66, making them not only the biggest, but also the oldest outlaw motorcycle gang. OMG. Being highly active in the Great Lakes region, the Outlaws are known for their extreme involvement in drug smuggling on the Canadian border, just like in 2017 when an outlaw chapter president was murdered by the 69ers motorcycle gang when his truck was stopped at a red light. Violent gang clashes with rival gangs are normal, but these conflicts and clashes can quickly take a never-ending brutal turn and jumpstart a cycle of retaliation between gangs. Number 1. MS-13. To protect Salvadoran immigrants from other LA gangs, MS-13 was initially established in Los Angeles in the 1970s. This originally small gang has now expanded to 42 U.S. states as well as Guatemala and Mexico. The further expansion of the organization to Central America occurred when the excessive expulsion of the members of El Salvador backfired on the authorities. MS-13 makes up less than 1% of all gang members in the U.S., with less than 10,000 members. This may be the only gang that does not have any official leadership structure. But the lack of leadership is not their weakness, neither does it stop them from being the deadliest gang in the country. MS-13 is, in fact, so blatantly brutal and violent that there is a separate MS-13 task force formed by the FBI to keep an eye on the MS-13 and strive to fight the gang's violence. Members of MS-13 are ferociously brutal and ruthless, as indicated by the 2008 incident when a 21-year-old MS-13 member based in San Francisco killed an entire innocent family just because they blocked his car's way on a narrow street for a brief moment. The 2004's incident of the Honduran inner-city bus was also carried out by MS-13, in which 6 gunmen opened fire on a crowd of innocent people, wounding 14 civilians and killing 28 people, including women and even children. For its constant attempts at these kinds of horrific crimes and its involvement in sickening, illegal criminal activities such as child prostitution, MS-13 has earned its position as the deadliest gang in the U.S. While most of the 30,000-plus gangs in the USA are just small-time local outfits that immerse in drugs and violence, a few but extremely powerful organizations are truly frightening for the well-behaved public. Leading gangs like the 18th Street Gang, the Outlaws, and the MS-13 are constantly expanding throughout the U.S. and even globally, obtaining strength and control. These gangs continue to commit sickening crimes against rival gangs and even innocent citizens. The dilemma of gang violence is not disappearing anytime soon. Instead, it is growing its roots by locating new illegal routes for profit, recruiting new members, and mounting violence to protect their own operations. Society is in crucial need of new policies, strategies, and awareness aimed at discouraging young people from joining gangs in the first place. This is the only way to slow down the rapid spread of gang violence across the U.S. and make our surroundings safer.